Good morning. This is the second day of my How Much Can I Write in a Week challenge. If you want more details about that, check my previous video, which is already up on the channel. So yesterday I mentioned that the current viewpoint character is a challenge for me to write for because I tend to be a very dialogue forward writer and he is a very silent character. That's not to say that he doesn't have any dialogue at all, it's just that he's a lot more selective about when and how he talks, which for me means that I have to be very much more conscious about the how and when and why that I give him any dialogue. So a little bit more about him. I didn't mention yesterday his name. His official name is Silas. Silas Current Aries Zendel, to give him his full name. But most of the time he gets referred to by various different pet names or shorts. So the main one that you might see as a chapter progresses is Fifey. So Fifey is mostly what he gets called by his family, and it comes from the fact that he's Silas V, so he's the fifth person in his family to have the name Silas. He actually shares his name with his mum. She's Silas IV because this is the type of family that don't care about boys' names and girls' names. So yeah, he's Silas V, so he, as I say, gets referred to as Fifey. His boyfriend Craig, who he is currently in the scene with, refers to him as Si. And then there's one other thing that he does tend to get referred to as, he gets referred to as Silas by his friends. But there's one other main thing that he tends to get referred to as, which is not his full name, which is Little Silsil. And that is by one specific character who does his own little pet naming thing. Whether or not he will appear during the part of the chapter or the chapter as a whole, depending on how far I can get through it, will entirely depend on where this chapter goes. As I said yesterday, I'm not entirely sure where this chapter is going to go. I do know I have a particular solid objective for what I want to achieve in this chapter, if possible. Whether or not I'll actually be able to do it, I'm not totally sure yet. So one of the things that I wanted to check this morning before I start doing any writing is the specifics of the character that I'm hoping to introduce back into the story before the end of the chapter, what their gift is. So this is a magical realism story. There is magic, there are gifts, there are abilities and stuff like that which do get referenced. This particular character, I know when I was coming up with her, there were a couple of ways that I thought her gift might work. I can't remember which one that I landed on, so I'm just going to use my search option to see if I can find out how I ended up doing that. So as you can see, Candy appears a lot in my document, so there we go. I have narrowed it down to... Why didn't it hand it? Oh, because it's got a full stop afterwards. Okay, all right. I'm going backwards because there is a chance her gift was mentioned before her name for reasons. Okay, so task, I just detail about you. Go back a little bit more. So this particular chapter that we're in now would be from the point of view of the other twin, which is why he has a lot of dialogue. So the other twin's name is Spencer. He gets referred to as P and Spence, depending on who's talking. Again, if relevant when I start writing again in a moment. Her eyes began to glow a little. Okay, so there was visual indication. Super very obvious. Just using their gifts so recklessly. You get a little bit of oil, creating perfect shape and back of water. It's like anything like that right now. So you have an information gathering gift. Basically, depth spellcaster. Okay, so it is what I thought it was, which is an information gathering gift. I couldn't remember how I presented the use of it, so that's a good refresher before trying to reintroduce her as a character. So now the last thing that I need to do before I start writing again today is I like to go over the last little bit that I've read the last little bit that I wrote yesterday, just because that way I can then get myself back into the frame of mind I was in when I wrote that last little bit, and it tends to just make it a little bit easier for me to get into it. Okay. The second I heard them. Hang on. The second I heard his name, I don't know why I said them. I was very tired yesterday morning. The second I heard his name, I felt instantly irritated, and my brotherly instincts kicked in. I realised how insanely selfish I was being. This wasn't just about we could do this without saving my brother to you. Yes, on my counter so far, just left me feeling as though the threat was less of a threat. I believed my brother was safe, or at least as safe as he could be. And given what had happened, yeah, I probably thought better off where he was right now. We're probably better off there too, at least. And someone would trust me. Trust us with our power. Yeah, typos are a thing. I don't exactly touch type, so my gaze is either all focused on my keyboard, half focused on my keyboard. It's never quite fully focused on the screen. That's because, for various reasons, I've used a lot of various different size keyboards. So the keyboard that I'm currently using, this one, is actually quite small, whereas the ones that I will use in work are actually quite big. And like the keyboard that was on my laptop, the one that doesn't work anymore, or at least half doesn't work anymore, that one again is a completely different size. And even though like all the keys are technically the same layout, the size difference can, you know, make touch typing a little bit challenging when you're when you switch between so many different types. So that's why like my gaze is sort of like always half focused on my keyboard. I can't type in the dark. Like I know some people who can touch type. I do think my typing speed is reasonable. It's not necessarily as fast as somebody who has trained in like copy editing, or who types by dictation. I know I can type by dictation fairly okay. I do have to do that in work occasionally, but it's not like my primary job in work. My writing speed has purely come about by my creative writing. So it's reasonable because I've had a lot of practice at it, but it is like I don't use all my fingers. Like I'm not a professional typist, in the sense of like I've not, you know, I don't necessarily type in the most efficient way. Because I don't type in the most efficient way, I do typo as I type, and I will always go back and correct. I know a lot of people will just like keep typing, and then once they've finished their train of thought, they'll go back and correct. But it bothers me, so I'll go back and correct. Just because that's just how my brain works. So if you see me sort of like deleting and going back and like doing it like in the moment rather than like completing the sentence, it's just that's just how I do it. That's just how I focus. Yeah. Okay. To so let me get out of here. Okay, neither of them can sense where people are, because that's not their gift. Why do we have to live in a fucking B&B? Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Errol's were definitely downstairs. I could hear that from the way the voices drifted towards us. Towards the bedroom door. Stairs get there. The voices drifted towards us. To be able to keep tabs on that, I wanted to do this. I need to trust anything. Except Adults were definitely downstairs. I could hear that from the voices drift towards us. It's my choice for the door to open. I wanted. Okay, I think that should be a thingy, right? I wanted to be able to know what they were saying about me. The level of paranoia I was feeling. They helped me understand what's wrong with it. That's not right. And that should be a question mark. Oop, that's not a question mark. Let's do that. There we go. The adults were definitely downstairs. Okay, where the officers drifting towards us. It's my choice for the door to be open. I want to be enough. What they were saying about me. Paranoia, made me wonder what it was like. Spencer, this is really what he felt like when he was off his medication. A complete inability to trust anything. Except I already knew the answer to that. No. This wasn't what it was like for him. It wasn't that he became paranoid. It was that his sense of reality altered. It's pretty sure my sense of reality stayed the same. What it was like for him. It's not that he became paranoid. It's that his sense of reality altered. It hadn't altered for me. Didn't think so. So creates proof of concept. To create in the first place. Then we weren't really sure. And even then we weren't really sure. This is my power. This power. Oops. didn't think so. Anger and frustration came from genuine places. If there really was any kind of concern, and if there really was any kind of concern, then they would be doing more, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they? Rather than not trusting me with my power never really knew for sure I was actually capable of, or how it worked. I mean, sure, we had some idea with that one. Craig was proof of concept, but he had been lax down plan, not able to think there. One that we were pretty sure took both of us to create in the first place. And even then, we weren't really sure. Was this power, his power, or our power? He told me even that man didn't know. Not for sure, not until he actually got his hands on us. So maybe we should just let him. I've got to turn twice. Okay, I am going to leave it there because this morning I realized there is a handy little countdown timer that lets me know exactly how long ClipChamp will record a session for. Because as I said previously, I want to do no editing on these videos, so they are going up as they are, because I want to be as algorithm unfriendly as possible, apparently. And I've noticed that there's like 3 minutes left on the timer. I have been sort of like dipping back in and checking it as I've been writing. But yeah, because I spotted that timer, I realized, okay, there's only so long that I can write per session, which means I need to be a little bit more concise with my lead-in at the beginning, if I want to sort of make more progress than I've had the last couple of days. But at the same time, like, I very much believe in little and often. Yes, I have like a huge word count on this document, but I have also been writing this document for a while, and now I keep calling a document instead of a story. Sorry, that's just habit. Like, yeah, it's one of those, like, you know, when you use Word for most of the things that you do tend to go, okay, it's a document, it's a story, it's yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm trying to do a wrap up, knowing full well that I am in a situation where I can't edit this. So if I'm not making myself clear, it's going in as is. But yeah, so this is some of the way that I consider and process as I'm sort of getting into a chapter. If I have like an idea of where I kind of want the chapter to go, or something that I want to try and get into the chapter, I will early on in the chapter, like, maybe check a few details. As I said, like, the story that I'm writing and the previous stories that I've written are very much my notepad. I do sometimes make notes in other places and in other ways, but generally speaking, I use the documents themselves. And if I change my mind about anything, or come to a different understanding about anything, if I start off with sort of like, oh yeah, no, this character is this, and then as the character develops, it goes, oh, actually, wait, this character is this. I may sort of like go back to sort of some previous moments and start rewriting them a little bit, in order so that when I start editing properly, I've got oh, okay, yeah, right, I need to make sure that I incorporate what I now understand into the previous the previous bit. So my documents, yeah, my stories as I'm editing and writing them are always very organic. They're always very like now and in the moment, and I don't tend to save separate drafts for things, which is probably not the best approach for other people. But for me, because of just like the organic way that I tend to write, I would rather write over it than just save it as another draft, because I would get confused as to which draft I was on. And I'd rather just, work on my living draft. Anyway, I've got like 20 seconds left in which to wrap this up for the day. So I hope you found this sort of interesting. I hope my babble makes some sense. And I will see you again tomorrow.